very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marjorie. I've been working as a lecturer at Naga University of Foreign Studies. I've been working with Becky. Thank you so much for a really informative keynote today. I learned a lot. So from now, I'd like to share my studies, and it's more of practice-based this time. So the topic is integrating education for sustainable development, or ESD, and English language learning in a Japanese university. So specifically, it's at NAPS for my students. Okay, so just a background. This is more of practice-based, and I will be sharing with you some background information. At the same time, how I implemented tools for ESD in my core English classes. So yeah, this is practice-based at the moment, and I've been doing it for 2 semesters already, but I appreciate some comments at the end because I want to do it, further develop it into academic research and have some publications. So yeah, so just for this outline, I'll start with some background about the emergence or how ESD or Education for Sustainable Development started, ESD in education, and then ESD specifically in the context of Japanese higher education. And this one, the second part, is exploring ESD tools in core English classes. This is what I did in my class. So I'll start with sharing the survey results. It's just 2 questions. And also, this is the tool that I've been exploring. It's called Visual Thinking Strategies. So just a background. Okay, emergence of ESD. So yeah, actually, the development of it started alongside those international agreements that we heard of. So as early as 1960s and 1970s, it recognized worldwide
English
that
English literature teacher, as well as an English language acquisition teacher.
Okay, all right. So in 1960s and 1970s, there were it's already recognized that there are environmental concerns because of environmental degradation and pollution. So alongside this, EE or environmental education was born. And it's widely understood as a rich mixture of teaching strategies, subject matter, learning locations, and multidisciplinary complexity that's aimed at improving environmental literacy. So it's alongside these environmental problems that we've been facing. So this is the start of it. And then from EE or environmental education comes the birth of ESD. So it started as early as 1994 when Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro happened. So it started to define and build the concept of sustainable development, and it was further advanced by Agenda 21. So Agenda 21 is the global action plan that has to be implemented nationally to achieve sustainable development. So here, ESD is an extension of sustainable development focused on education and is tasked with identifying sustainable goals and working towards them in order to confront and solve social, economic, and environmental problems. So we can see here that ESD is the education part of achieving this internationally agreed goals. So now ESD in education, particularly in higher educational institutions. So Agenda 21 stress education as a critical factor in promoting environmental awareness and building the capacities for sustainable development. Actually, in terms of this, it's kind of very, very broad of what they mean by education. So they also mentioned about training, about a formal education. So those things, it's kind of very broad. And in here, the United Nations introduced SDGs or Sustainable Development Goals, which includes reference to ESD and reinforces the important role education plays in promoting more sustainable societies. This is according to UNESCO. And then higher educational institutions or HEIs play a major role in integrating ESD and the 17 SDGs into curriculum as well as through campus sustainability initiatives. So here, it's being recognized globally that universities or HEIs have a role in integrating ESD in their curriculum and in their initiatives in the campus. So those are the 2 things. And let's contextualize it here in Japan. So MEX or Mombu Kagakusho, or the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology, or MEX in short, promotes not only the use of English in higher education as part of its policy of internationalization, but it has also drawn up a plan for ESD at all levels of education. So I want to clarify or emphasize at all levels of education. So it means starting from primary up to tertiary level of education. However, there are challenges. So this is actually based on the literature that I read from the dissertation of Judoing. So let me enumerate them here. It's mentioning that ESD programs and initiatives in Japan or Japanese higher education has been slow to develop compared to progress at the primary and secondary level. So this is according to Singer and Nagata's works. So there's comparison here in terms of primary and secondary level and Japanese higher education. Second is ESD integration is not occurring very quickly in Japanese higher education within the formal curriculum, so students are not often exposed to ESD concepts in university unless they take courses related to sustainable development. And finally, integration of ESD in Japanese higher education has faced several challenges, such as lack of familiarity with ESD approaches by faculty, limited opportunities for students to study ESD, and confusion about how ESD can be implemented. So these are the challenges of how ESD is being implemented or should be implemented in Japanese higher education. So we can see here the discrepancies, the challenges, and the lack of awareness, if I may say. But with challenges also comes the opportunities. So here, UNESCO has recognized that finding ways to better integrate ESD in university subjects is very important as a follow-up to the ESD and to implement the SDGs. So here are some opportunities that I can see and some other researchers or literatures have mentioned. So first is ESD in Japan is becoming more well-known through the SDGs promotion. So there's a lot of SDGs awareness campaigns. We can see lots of posters from the businesses in transportation. Um, SDGs are being widely promoted in Japan. So I think it's alongside the promotion or the upcoming uh, expo in Osaka. So it's a good thing. And second thing is English is mandatory to a certain extent in all Japanese universities in line with the policies of the Japanese government. And to integrate both of these things, environment and sustainability are popular learning themes in the English as a foreign language classroom. So from here, there are opportunities that we can integrate ESD in English classroom in Japan. So here now comes the second part of my presentation wherein I explore ESD tools in core English classes. So as a background, core English classes are being taught among freshmen and sophomore students. So these are only implemented particularly in my two core English classes for freshmen. So here are the materials being used. So this one, but I want to emphasize that I use it for my core English class using the textbook here on the right. So here it is. So this is the textbook. And then some survey results. So I did it in November 2024. So I have two classes of freshmen. So they are in the second semester. I have 23 students for both classes, and I got 42 only were able to answer the survey. So I had two questions. I have lots of questions, but I want to share just the two ones which are relevant to this presentation, I think. So the first question is, did you have any environmental education in high school? And I want to compare it now that they are here studying at NAP. So the top graph pie chart in here is that it says that yes, majority of them, about 80%, had environmental education in high school. And at the bottom pie chart, as you can see, that they had no environmental education at NAP. So only one student answered that that student had one. It's just like a lecture, one lecture. So that student elaborated that it's only one lecture. So we can see here the discrepancy, which I think it confirmed the previous researchers' statement that there is discrepancy in terms of ESD education among primary, secondary, and tertiary level education in Japan. So this is focusing on environmental education. And second one is, did you have any sustainable development or SDGs education in high school and at NAPS? So the top pie chart, as we can see here, 76% of students had SDGs or Sustainable Development education when they were in high school. And it's a big contrast. Again, just one student had one SDGs or Sustainable Development learning or education when they started learning or studying at NAPS. So again, it confirms the previous researchers' argument about discrepancy of ESD integration in levels of education in Japan. So from this, let me introduce to you VTS. It's a tool that I've been using. So I've been teaching, by the way, SDGs in high school, and I'm trying to integrate it to my classes here at NAFS among university students. So VTS, or Visual Thinking Strategies, it's developed by cognitive psychologist Abigail Hussein and museum educator Philip Yenawiner. I'm not pronouncing them, I think, properly or correctly. And this is based on Hussein's theory of aesthetic development. So that's how it's who developed it. But BTS is an inquiry-based teaching method through observation. Inquiry-based because there are questions that students should answer or should discuss with, and observation because it's use of photos. So using this tool, it improves a student's ability to describe, analyze, interpret imagery and information, supports the development of creative and critical thinking skills, encourages participation in collaborative discussions, especially among students who struggle with traditional text-based or lecture-based learning environments. So here we can see that it's really student-centered learning, wherein students are discussing and sharing their thoughts based on the photo that they see. So VTS as a tool can help us these things, observe things deeply, look at both complex and simple things more critically, share our opinions and thoughts freely, understand and respect other people's views, get more ideas, have broader and or global perspectives. So here are the three questions. So it's inquiry-based, and there are three main questions that students should discuss. So based on the photo that they see. So the first question is they will observe the picture. So here are their tasks. There are three tasks, and three tasks have the corresponding questions. So they will observe the picture. I'm going to show it to them, and they will answer and discuss with the partner what's going on in this picture. And here, it's adopted version of the VTS because I added this question, is there an issue? So it's an adaptation one by adding, is there an issue? So they will discuss everything that they see in the picture, and then they will try to think, is there an issue that they can see? And then second question and second task, share what you observe. What do you see that makes you say that? So here they will try to explain in details what they see. And then finally, they will think deeper. What more can you see? So what more can you see? Because in a photo says a lot of things. So they will think deeper by observing more what they can see. And then here, it's a cycle of going back to the first task and question of what's going on in this picture. Is there an issue? And what do you see that makes you say that? So these are the three main questions of BTS. So here, I will explain how I implemented it in my core English classes. Again, I have two classes. And core English classes, in one semester, there are 4 different topics. And I started introducing it in the second topic in the first semester. So I introduced it in the second topic that is about food and health. So that was in May 2024. So for the VTS, here are the 4 photos I use in my classes. So as you can see, they're all related to food and health. So I chose them, I just grabbed them from the internet. So here is how it's implemented. So students look at the picture and discuss, and these are the specific instructions I gave to them. So here, because in answering question 1, what do you see in the picture? I told them that they can elaborate what they see, and they can start thinking by answering the WH questions. So for example, who is in the picture? What are they doing? Why are they there? Where is the scene? When is it? How do you feel when you look at it? Do you have other questions? And Also, some rules in doing VTS. There's no wrong or right answer. Respect each other's ideas, and it's okay to disagree. So in here, students are free. They have the freedom to share whatever thoughts they have based on the photos that they see. So here, some of the details, more details of how I implemented it. Step one is they will observe the photo. They will discuss 3 minutes per photo. So I have 4 photos. I showed it one at a time. So here are the 3 VTS questions. So, and then I will fast forward, okay? I will show you some photos later on of how it's really actually implemented. So observe the photo, discuss 3 minutes per photo, and then after that, they will move to another photo. Some room for improvement, I want to say it now, as early as now, is that it's important to have a wrap-up discussion, I think. This is something I have not implemented or have not experimented doing it yet. But having a wrap-up discussion at the end of answering these 3 questions, discussion with a partner, I think it's important. Why? Because it's here, let me mention first these questions. First, did your partner or group members see the same things? What did your partner group mates observe? What did your partner group mates observe surprised you? And based on what you observed, which area in Japan or country has been in the world do you think it happens? So I think it's good to have a wrap-up discussion like this so the students can have awareness that each one has their own opinion and that they are learning something new. So something like that, they can have wider perspective about the photo that they can see. So here, okay, so here are the photos. So actually this is, I also, from my colleague, Line was doing the gallery walk, wherein the photos are posted in the 4 corners of the classroom. So I try to use that as well in doing VTS, wherein students are moving around the classroom. I think it's a good strategy as well to break the monotony of them just sitting down there. So I think it's really nice. There's lots of movements, lots of discussions, and every time I'm moving them, um, so it's like, okay, please go to one corner of the room and then find a partner. And then after 3 minutes, another corner, find a new partner. So this was implemented in May 2024, and I can see that students are very much having fun doing this activity. So they have new partners every time, and they are discussing whatever that they can see in the photo. So this is my first class, and this is my second class. As you can see, the dynamics in each class is different. So in my first class, they were all standing up, and in here they prefer to sit down. So I'm not, I gave them, okay, they can choose to sit down or stand up. So it's up to them. So here, I did this because in Unit 1, the discussions, I always have communication practice. Just in contrast, there are textbook questions, which I like doing or making my students practice for communication practice. But I feel that having visual, like a photo like this, makes them think deeper in relation to the topic. And at the same time, it makes them relate it to actual situations happening around them or in the world. So now, so that was in the first semester. Now I'm looking for some ways to further improve VTS, use of VTS as a tool in ESD integration in English classroom. So here I found another chance or opportunity. It's second semester and the topic was about the environment. So I feel like it's very related to sustainable development. So here I use it for 2 purposes. BTS to use for units vocabulary practice. So I asked my students to observe the photo. So I still showed photos to them, but this time I'm using just the projector. Okay, so it's just, instead of moving around, it's shown, projected, and on the screen. And then they are assigned with a random partner. So random partner. And then they will use the unit vocabulary in discussing the questions. So here, so as you can see, it's kind of different this time because they have the task that they should use the unit vocabulary from the reading that we had. So we had the unit vocabulary first, the reading, and then some discussion questions. So this time, instead of the 3 questions, I added And I also changed the question. So first is, what do you see in the photo? Second is, these are the major change. What social issues does the picture show? And another one is, what SDGs is it related to? And what other things can you see? So here I introduce SDGs. So before I come up with this environment questions and photo, I gave them a printout of SDGs, the 17 SDGs, and I quickly just run through it. So it's not about SDGs class, it's just more of really just the vocabulary and familiarization with the 17 SDGs. So after that, we went to this BTS practice with the photo, observing it, and having discussions using this 4 questions. So for each pair, here it is, or here how it looks like in my classroom. So I gave them 5 minutes this time for each pair. And each class, so for this one, for environment, there are 6 classes. So I gave them just one time, okay? Just one photo and one time practice each time in the class. So we had 4 rounds of practice. So each class, one time practice for 5 minutes with a partner and new photo each time. So here, based on this observation from my students, I can sense that they are thinking deeper. I can see that lots of like dead air. And I think that dead air, like silence in pairs, actually means that they are actually thinking about it, because these are like, what social issue does the picture show? So it's not just about the use of vocabulary. Maybe it's also the vocabulary, but at the same time, they are thinking about the social issue and the SDGs related, the photo that it's related to. And here, the second purpose is I use BTS in doing presentation as well. So here, instead of the usual individual presentation, I ask my students to have a group presentation wherein they will use BTS and they will work in groups. But this time, instead of the photo that I showed on the screen in front of everybody, um, it's no longer a photo, because what I did is a campus tour. So here, the first task is to work in groups, and each group will choose an environmental problem and they will identify the solution in their very own university at NAPS. So these are the guided questions. So what's happening? What's the negative impact of what's happening? What can people do to stop what's happening? Are there solutions or alternatives? So instead of the usual photo that they are seeing, now it's time for them to use their own eyes and observe what's happening, or what are the environmental problems at NAFS, and for them to think, collaborate as a group of the solutions. So here, when I introduced this topic, when I started introducing this unit about the environment, I gave them 15 minutes campus tour, observe, take photos of the environmental problems that you can see at NAPS. And because they are working and as a group, and they said that it's their first time working as a group in English. Okay, so it's quite interesting. It's their first group work in English. So I gave them each time in the class. So because each unit has 6 classes, I gave them at the end of the class, I gave them 10 to 15 minutes group meeting and practice time. So here are some of the photos. And these are the photos of the actual presentations. As you can see, they are grouped, and each member has 3 to 4 members, because I have 23 students in each class, and there are 5 groups. So here is the first photo, and then their presentation is environmental problems and solutions at NAPS, and this is my other class as well. As you can see here, they are actually creative. So I just gave them those guide questions, and they're so creative about the way of their presentation. So here on the top left, as you can see, they also did what do you call this? A video demonstrating what students are doing that contribute to environmental problem at NAPS. Okay, and some of the environmental problems that they said are, for example, this. So I asked them to have main opinions. So most of the groups are saying NAPS has a lot of environmental problems. For example, too much use of resources in terms of electricity, water, paper, there are problems in waste segregation and waste management in their cafeteria. There are lots of leftovers and use of disposable containers. Okay, so in terms of that, they're suggesting that we should or students should bring their own lunch. That's quite interesting. And they're saying that little actions can contribute, like bringing water bottles like that. And then there's another group saying that NUFS has no heavy focus on environmental problems or studies. So they are suggesting integrating it to curriculum, having posters, SNS, and organizing events. For example, in their school festival as part of the program or an event, having paper class, use of LED lights. So those things are the environmental problems and solutions that they found. It's mostly about the use of resources, waste management. So those are the things that they identified. And another one is the smoking room. They said it contributes to air pollution and health problems. Okay, so here are my references, and I'd like to say thank you very much. So this is more of really practice-based, and I'd appreciate some questions or input, specifically inputs on turning it into academic research. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Marjorie. Thank you. So we don't really have enough time for questions, but if you have questions, please go into the main room and ask. Is that okay, Marjorie?
Thank
Yeah.
you so
Yeah, of
I'm so
course. Please
sorry.
go into the main room and Marjorie will follow you and you can ask all the questions there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Marina. Hi. Okay, so you only have
Hello.
2 minutes to prepare, but